Feel like my spirit body is wide open. I did a post on my website, not my website, but on my YouTube channel, Raven Williams 2222. With that being said, as soon as I did that, my energy, I could feel shit like an entity attachment get fucked with, because my energy is all externalized. I can feel shit coming within, into my consciousness, into my spirit body. And I'm trying to figure out what I can do about this, because it's destroying like entity attachments and so forth and so on. And it's all because I just posted on this site and it's done horrifically altered everything. So, with that being said, I need to figure out what to do about this. And allow that person, Maria Parafin, to start fucking with me. To come in and start fucking with me bad. Use 694, 695 hertz to see. And I really wanted to do a video talking about this. I hate having this light on, because with this evil shit, being told have the light on, keep the light on. If you turn it off, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Anyways, as I said before, this evil shit, I didn't post a video today because, like I said before, my spirit body is all externalized to the point where anybody and everybody could come in. And so I had, because it's all out there in the astral plane in the open, a very intrinsic part of my consciousness that nearly went missing, because my shit is all over the place, because I have nothing except my father, which this evil shit constantly tries to remove from my body, including this entity here, Alex Broadman. See me into. I also noticed too that Maria Parafin used 694 hertz. I just felt her jump into my soul consciousness just now. For my regular consciousness, I saw that she parasitically was in charge of my consciousness. I know all that shit sounds crazy, but bear with me with what I'm about to say. And now I'm losing my train of fucking thought, my train of consciousness. I was on the road because I had good spiritual assistance yesterday, and not the evil shit that I got that's just likes to tear up your consciousness. But with that being said, my connection to my God here, they try to supplant it with Baron Sammy's through, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Make it so that he becomes my Godhead if I need spiritual help and keep me under heavy curses. But they're trying to remove my father's soul consciousness, his consciousness from my body, his Godhead self from my body, so that I be directly under them and have no spiritual help to see what Maria Parafin is doing. I noticed that the shop was open today, and I really wanted to do a video and a blog, and I couldn't. Use 694 hertz, 695 hertz to see. With that being said, because this is motherfucking ridiculous. And in the middle of the night, you know, I keep, from what I understand, Billy Bailey, that's the real name of Baron Samedi, his higher self is Don Tolliver. They set up something with Maria Perry. It's too much weird shit. Like, all this shit, you know, shouldn't be going on. With that, you know, it shouldn't be going on. Basically set it up where they keep me under their heavy curses. And from what I understand, something about Billy Bailey, Baron Samedi trying to bury my head in the spirit plane and set it up so that I die. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know how true that is. Because I keep feeling weird shit with my spirit body, my energy body, in the astral plane. You know, again, use 694, 695 hertz to see. And I'm also going to talk about, with that being said, I was told keep the light on. And, you know, I had some shit see into an alternate timeline, because your timelines are within or something. And they saw if I didn't keep the light on, my dad would have been missing out. I actually did a whole fucking video just going off about this evil ass sinister shit, you know, like somebody else was saying, you know, you got to take your power back. But the problem is this shit is within, so they also start piling upon you entity attachments to block you from getting your shit back and to make it complex for you to get your shit back. You know, as I said before, you know, it's going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline with what happened to my parents and all of that. You know, I keep saying ad nauseum about what's going on with that. But anyways, I'm going to upload the rest of the video tomorrow about, you know, them people. About Kanye West and all of that on my new channels, The Soul Collective, and there's another one. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and say for the record, you know, I feel this evil shit, you know, it's like they want you in isolation, you know, they want you in isolation. Like, the more I came out on a roll, and, you know, through, you know, from what I understand, some very, very benevolent past life ancestors, I was able to speak properly again. You know, without all this evil shit that I got piled on me. They do shit to put you into silence, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. With that being said, in the middle of the night, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say for the record, I feel something, you know, I like, you know, I want to mention that I keep having a dubbick fuck with me, and I keep getting intimidated to silence by this evil shit, primarily Maria Parafin being told, if you say anything about it, you're going to lose your, you know, an intrinsic part of your consciousness. With that being said, during the day, I had a nightmare where I noticed that this shit, you know, I had like a major part of my consciousness that goes all the way back to childhood destroyed last week, and all of these energy vampires started taking shit left and right. With that being said, I feel shit, it's Maria Parafin, it's that evil motherfucker. You know, it's funny too, because I started experiencing major psychic attacks when I wanted to do a video. When I wanted to, you know, do a video today, you know, and it's around the same time in which these people happen to have opened. These are the ones that put that Maria Parafin entity on me. With that being said, I had a nightmare where, you know, because they stole a lot of my consciousness, I can't even dream anymore, almost to the point. This shit is getting very, very dangerous. And I feel like that Maria Parafin entity feels like she has like the carte blanche to be able to do anything. Again, it's got something to do with that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline. Where, you know, I don't know if she's gotten permission from, you know, like this Alex Browderman entity along with Billy Bailey, Baron Samity, Don Tolliver. I'm going to do more research on that to get this motherfucker. Like I said, it's complex when you have somebody's highest self operating in your energy body. With that being said, during the day, I had a nightmare where I was back in Louisiana, back in New Orleans East. And I really wanted to do a video, but because I was under heavy psychic attack, which coincidentally occurred today, I couldn't. And my brother and my mother, who appeared demonic, again, it's got something to do with that August 22nd, 2022 timeline. I keep saying in a lot of videos, you know, I've heard my parents' cries and all of that. They're being tortured by but, you know, like I said before, I've seen the Illuminati in my timeline. It's the Illuminati. They keep sawing them up, you know, using blades and all of that. And Maria Parafin is the person or entity, the highest self that's supposed to, them people there, that's supposed to preside over it. Shit, disgusting like that. Not this shit. But anyways, with that being said, I was back in New Orleans East, and I was with my family here, my brother and my mother. And I was trying to find something. So we were on our way. We were driving. And so next thing I know, you know, when you're driving in your dream, you're driving using a vehicle that's congruous to your timelines. And mine was like a skateboard. So I noticed that my mother, because of what she's going through due to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, turned into a demon that kept attacking me. And I could tell something was trying to take her over. And she was fighting it, but it was a very dark energy, which lets me know they're in a very dark place. Like, something was fucking with them or they're fucked up. You know, I got the sense that they were turning demonic. And I've had dreams, you know, for the past couple of weeks where my parents turned demonic. With that being said, at one point, it transitioned where we were in like a... Oh, I'm trying to think of what they call... not a swap meet, but it's a farmer's market. I keep hearing a voice telling me what to say. You know, I have to extricate off. I can't be playing around like with this shit. Like I said, it gets confusing when you're using frequencies and all of that. With that being said, my mother started trying to tear me out of my body. And from what I understand, it was Maria Parafin. It was, you know, first off, I'm going to mention it was them roach spirits along with my father's Godhead that pulled me out of that situation. With that being said, I was being attacked very, very terribly by these Maria Parafin, who tried to pull me out of my body. Again, she's been trying to get full control. You can use 694 hertz, 695 hertz to see of my consciousness, you know, and, you know, going after my soul consciousness, I felt like a burnt skeleton was right there for a quick second. And that almost looks like a mirror right there. You know, it's funny, too. I've been seeing mirror reflections of myself out the corner of my eye. And that's usually reminiscent of somebody that's about to die due to this curse, due to Maria Parafin primarily. And with that being said, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. You know, I had a couple of weeks ago a nightmare where, you know, it turned out to be a form of astral projecting. I noticed that I've been hearing my dad just like I did during the commencement of this curse, the original curse before Maria Parafin came around. I was hearing my father astral project, which means that's not a good sign. Something's pulling him out of his body, more than likely Maria Parafin or something, and is trying to pull him into the spirit plane so that she can take his soul and kill him. And that's exactly what Maria Parafin tried to do to me. With that being said, I keep hearing all this evil ass shit talk, and something's gonna have to fucking give. You know, this should be wanting you to have your light on in the middle of the fucking night, and you just logically can't, but there's palpable effects, you know, that you'll experience and feel if you don't, you know, like very drastic attacks on your consciousness, you know, effects on your consciousness and soul consciousness. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You know, I remember as a result of Maria Parafin, my cell phone nearly failing. You know, with that being said, I got attacked really, really bad. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with all this evil shit. I got this evil parasitic entity by the name of Seamus Anderson in my soul consciousness and all of that, and I got to figure out what the fuck is going on. I keep hearing something about them removing a major entity attachment and replacing it with something that disconnects me from the original entity attachment. I'm gonna have to do something seriously about getting this shit. This, I know I got soul swap, but this is just, anytime you got evil shit trying to remove your parents and remove, extricate your ancestors who are essentially helping you out of your soul consciousness at that, like they've been trying to do with my father, that's some scary ass shit. And I gotta especially get this Maria Parafin off. Like I said, I was planning on uploading the part 3 to the video I did yesterday talking about Kanye West. I'm trying to get back to my old self, but this wetback ass bitch keeps blocking me from doing so. And I feel like every time I fucking say something, there's some like physical effect on what I say by this evil ass shit, to where I can get intimidated into not being able to speak my piece. I was trying to get back to normal, but I can't because of this evil ass shit, this evil ass wetback bitch. And, like I said, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck else is going on. A lot of it has to do with keeping me, I heard that timeline is under lock and key, and I've seen that there's a separate individual, whole entire different soul in my body, going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline. From what I understand, I got taken out of my body in the middle of the night and all of that ad nauseum. I'm trying to peruse, parse through what the fuck is going on and get an accurate understanding so I'm not tied to this bullshit. And my energy body isn't, because it's getting dangerous. I saw that the other night with what was happening with my consciousness. Now, with that being said, from what I understand, that was some very, very scary shit. It must mean that I was astral projecting to where I almost couldn't wake up. And I could have died in my dream. Something happened to my grandmother Dorothy, who, from what I understand, was a victim of this curse. So with that being said, I don't have time for this type of shit. I really don't. Like I said, I just want to get back to doing the videos I used to, that's deep thinking and all of that, instead of talking about this shit. I really enjoyed, having my mind free and set up to where I could talk about Kanye West like I would in the past. So with that being said, I'm going to have to do something about this wetback bitch. I feel like, she'll take over something like an essential part of my consciousness, like she did my soul consciousness, and start removing entity attachments, entities from there and all of that, and replacing them with her ancestors. Like I say, she's under a death curse, and from what I'm hearing in the spirit plane, people, mainly wetbacks, been going over there, patronizing them people, and I've seen it, and, offering to pay money to kill me in my sleep, send dubbicks my way and all of that. That's some evil ass shit. That's why, I'm just going to say it right now, I keep them people out of my orbit. I don't engage them in conversation. I wear my MAGA hat when I go out. Every time I go out, I wear my MAGA shirt, my Trump shirt. I used to have an ice one, but, when I was first, when I became homeless again officially before I went to the Union Rescue Mission, it was in trash bags, and some wetback ass police threw it away. I kept telling them, get that, man, because that's my property, and they wouldn't. I'm just going to say it right now, from what I understand, from what I spiritually see about them, from what I've learned about them during this curse, and, just from what I've seen using what little of my third eye I got, and people come from evil spirits. They see what blacks are, and they see we come from true light, and they see our spiritual powers. They like to get close to us so they can steal, because I find that the natural energy vampires, our spiritual powers and abilities. You can use 6,000 hertz, which I notice repels only evil entities to repel them. 960 hertz is also very, very highly effective for repelling them. I don't deal with them wetbacks unless it's absolutely necessary. They don't come from the light. They, from what I've learned, they come from the primordial darkness. And their demiurge is different from ours, from everybody else's. It's a black man with bronze skin, with hair like wool for everybody else, named Yoda Bale. There's this Quetzalcoatl who would shapeshift into a white man who was human-eating, and from what I understand, them man and ancient temples back in the day would have fucking blood shed all over their temples and all of that, and it's insane. It's gross. That's their origin. I don't fuck with them people for a reason. I don't, if I need spiritual help in the future again, I'm going to a black or a white or an Asian. I would never go to them people. And that's on word. With that being said, that was some scary shit. From what I understand, them people don't see blacks, for tarot readings, and their highest self gave the green light to see me because she saw Baron Samedi in my timelines as well as my bloodline. She saw ancestral money and wanted to snatch that and have that. So, with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and say, look out for me because it's some evil ass shit, and I keep getting intimidated from using frequency by, this Maria Parafin, and it's just, I did a video where I just fucking went off on all this evil shit. I gotta do something about this wetback bitch, and I gotta get my parents out that situation in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline. Within your soul consciousness exists your connection to your ancestors and all of that. Because it's your soul consciousness, which is a record of everything that's been going on with you, your bloodline, past lives, and all of that. And, like I said, I know that timeline is true, and I can feel it because my parents are stuck in hell and all of that in that timeline, So with that being said, and it doesn't help, I don't have anything good. I had Baron Samedi who was in charge of putting shit back. But, he's not good. Thankfully, it's my dad, but, thankfully, he's not good. He doesn't have my best interest at heart. He was the first one to put the curse on me, and that's where I've been ever since. And I don't like this nutty ass shit, where you feel compelled to say certain things, not to say certain things, hold back. But anyways, with that being said, going back to that August the 22nd, I feel something using my soul consciousness and making it lick its lips so it can fuck with an entity attachment within. That's how severe this shit is with this Maria Parafin primarily. With that being said, for my parents, going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, use 694 hertz, 695 hertz, see what's going on with them. Use 3517 hertz, 3571 hertz to be able to put them back, to put a spirit body back, along with 117 hertz combined with 800 hertz. I actually got a frequency on here to put back together. This is just some evil shit. I hear something like it's chanting a curse on me saying you're going to need to do this and that for doing this video. 117 hertz combined with 800 hertz I find is most effective as well because it revives physical bodies along with spirit bodies. So, help my parents out in that timeline because I feel like I'm at the mercy of this shit, because if I try to use frequency, Maria Parafin and them are in my energy body to be able to compromise it and block my ability to use that. So with that being said, everybody out there, pray for me. Some gotta be done with them people at that damn shop. Especially the person who gave me that tarot reading. That's very, very fucked up. So with that being said, to all of you out there, please pray for me. Please look out for me. I'm trying to get back to my old self, and it's hard not being able to educate people like I used to be able to, and just I feel something biting on my consciousness and all of that. I feel Maria Parafin controlling my soul consciousness and causing it to bite on me and all that shit. That's an evil. Them wetbacks, they do evil shit because they come from evil fucking creator gods. Like I said, I don't hold back. I also find, and I feel like this bitch got carte blanche to do this shit, because it's like she won't get caught. And from what I understand, she getting support from wetbacks in the spirit plane to do this shit. People that watch my YouTube channel and all of that. When I try to contact my fault, I don't know if it's my fault or her, or this is some evil shit. It's like you can't play shit properly, but like I said, I'm shit's gonna try to block me. Like I say, every time I talk about putting out the video of the Dubbick, they keep threatening me that, something bad is going to happen if I do. Maria Parafin and all of them, to block me from speaking my piece on what's really, really going on. And getting this wet bad bitch the fuck out and getting all my shit back from her. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say, for the record, to all of you out there, please pray for me. Please pray for my parents. Going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline. There's probably a lot more I want to say, but I keep on being made to forget. I just want to get back to teaching people again like I used to be able to, and get my consciousness, which keeps getting constantly stolen by this wetback bitch, and I had evil and shit on me before stealing shit, the Alex Browderman and Alex Nascimento entity. Please pray for me to be able to get my shit back. But in the case of Maria Parafin, she knows what she's doing. I think it's a Puerto Rican ancestor that befell under a curse. That was the cause for the Alex Nascimento. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I just felt that Maria Parafin used my soul consciousness. I got to do something about her, and possibly what they call her physical or lower self. Elsa, I know her mother's name was Elsa. It was Gertez. I learned in the spirit plane. Elsa something. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to have to do something about this. I think her physical self's name is Elsie Summers, Elsie Solano or some shit like that, Solano. And I keep getting fucked with right now really, really bad the minute I wanted to talk about it. And I'm going to say something right now. I'm tired of talking about this shit. I really fucking am. I just want to get back to teaching people like I used to. I almost look like a pyramid from out the corner of my eye. Egyptian Sphinx, Commission Sphinx. I've had a lot of help from my ancestors, ancient Commission ancestors, all throughout this. So with that being said, keep me and my family and my parents in your prayers. Like I said, I got evil shit within me as well as externally trying to extricate me. It's primarily this Maria Parafin motherfucker. Extricate me from my parents, my family, every single fucking day. And it's hard to get them back. And I feel Maria Parafin manipulate my soul consciousness, pushing shit out. And this shit gets you so caught up in your head to the point where you can't tell what the fuck is going on. With that being said, I'm going to put some videos, put some information on my blog, toplessnla.org tomorrow. Peace.